now is Negar Mortazavi, an Iranian-American journalist and political analyst. It's good to have you. And I want our viewers just to see this video, Negar, of people praying for Raisi while he was missing, but before he was found dead. It illustrates what some parts of Iran will be feeling today. What are we hearing from inside Iran right now? Because there will be others who will say there is no love lost on the news of the death of the president.
That's absolutely correct, Becky. I would call it a very polarized sort of society atmosphere. He wasn't a very popular president. He actually came out of an election, a presidential election, with the least voter turnout and a very active boycott movement by a big portion of the Iranian population or society who did not participate in the previous presidential election. And before that, when he ran against Hassan Rouhani in the presidential election, he actually lost with big margin. So I would say as the voter turnout and also the actual number of votes showed that Raisi was not a popular president. Of course, he did have supporters. He did have people who voted for him. And we are going to see sort of both images of Iranians who are mourning for him, but then also Iranians who are to the other extreme in the sense of celebrating actually his death. And as you said, no love lost.
A great deal of international reaction, of course. The tone of that very split. Allies, Russia, for example, President Vladimir Putin and his foreign minister putting out lengthy statements, calling Raisi a friend, saying they have fond memories of him. Putin said he rightfully enjoyed high respect from his compatriots and significant authority abroad. As a true friend of Russia, he made an invaluable personal contribution to the development of good neighbourly relations between our countries and made great efforts to bring them to the level of strategic partnership. And a number of other responses, particularly from proxies of Iran, Hezbollah, and the Houthis, very much speaking to the fact, and the supreme leaders sort of underline this, that things will not be disrupted with the death of the president. The supreme leader is in charge, that there is a constitutional process. But I wonder how you believe the president's death and the foreign minister's death might change, for example, if at all, the relationship with Russia and the sort of wider foreign file as those outside Iran watch for change from this leadership.
Becky, if I give you the big picture, I don't see any major change happening in Iran's either domestic or foreign policy. Maybe more chance for domestic politics, depending on who runs and who gets elected as the next president. But I think the big files, the foreign policy, the regional policy, the nuclear file, those are not decisions only made by the president, certainly not by this president, who, as I said, unpopular, not considered very strong, only in the office for 3 years. And it comes down again from the top person, the supreme leader. So I don't see a major shift in the direction of the country's policies, but this is going to create disruption, maybe even chaos in the domestic politics, especially because the Iranian constitution requires an election within 50 days. So to pull together a presidential election, put out candidates, and bring voter turnout, all of that, I think, is going to create some domestic turmoil and disruptions for sure.
Who would you be watching as potential presidential candidates going forward? After all, this is an economy on its knees. Effective and inefficient leadership has led to so many internal problems. As Iranians wake up and digest this news today, will this be a more hardline candidate, a more conservative candidate, a la, for example, Rouhani, the two-term president that many watching this show may remember? What is the profile of that candidate going forward, do you believe?
Well, I think currently the vice president, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, the speaker of the parliament, some of these other sort of more hardline figures are being potentially discussed as contenders or interested. First of all, we have to see who wants to run, who gets approved to run, and then talk about winning. The election process in Iran happens very, very fast. But I don't think that the regime or the supreme leader per se is going to see this as an opening. I don't think they're going to change the domestic course or hardline course that they've taken at the expense of voter turnout, at the expense of political participation. And I don't think they're going to let this moment sort of create a major disruption or risk even doing an opening. So I wouldn't bet on a reform or even fairly more moderate candidate. I don't think it will be specifically more hardline or more conservative, but someone who's considered, again, as an insider, like Raisi was, within sort of the same political realm and faction that he was part of.
It's good to have you, Negar. Your insight and analysis extremely valuable as we consider the news out of Iran today. Well, the time is